Welcome back to Benny's Kitchen Miami. Today we're making the sauce, meat sauce for spaghetti, but you can use any pasta you like. The ingredients that we're using today for our spaghetti sauce is about 1.5 pounds of ground beef, 3 of the Italian sausage. We like hot Italian. You can use mild if you like, and you can also use the whole pack. I'm going to show you how to cook that in a minute. We're going to use some garlic, onions, some parsley. We're going to use salt, pepper, olive oil, some red wine, or you can use white wine, some mushrooms, white button mushrooms, or your preference. We're going to use the spices. It's going to be onion, garlic, and oregano powders, a little bit of white sugar. I also have a little bit of the Italian herb seasoning, and depending on how much meat I'm using, then we're going to use 1 can of diced tomatoes, up to 1 or 1.5 cans of the tomato sauce, and we're going to use the tomato paste in our recipe. And of course you can use spaghetti or you can use any pasta you like. I forgot to tell you that we're also going to use some basil leaf, fresh if you have, or dried if you don't have fresh. Step 1, we're going to use the olive oil. We're just going to go 1, 2 swirls around the pot. And make sure you have a big enough pot for your meat to fit in the sauce. All right, for that we're going to add, well, like I said, I'm using about 1.5 pounds of ground beef. We're going to brown that. Get all right, this is a ground beef separator. I've got this on a high heat, and all I want to do is break it up some. Brown it a little bit, and then we're going to drain it. You can turn the heat down now. And what we're looking for is to get most of the pink out. And break it up into smaller pieces of ground beef. And I used an 80-20 for the spaghetti sauce. My preference, but whatever you have at home is fine, just as long as you drain it. All right, once it gets to that brownish color, then we're going to drain it. Okay, I'm going to take it to my sink, and then I'm going to put a small bowl underneath my strainer. And you see all that water down there? That's what we want to get rid of. So that's going to go into the bowl. You don't want to put that water, because it's also got fat, into your sink, because it will get clogged. So you can use this, or you can use aluminum foil. Just make a well, and it'll drain into the foil, and then you can just put it in the garbage. Now to the same pot, while that's draining, we're going to take it back to the sink, to the stove. And on medium high heat, or in my case, a number 4 or 5, I'm going to take my sausage. You don't use a casing here. My husband does like the casing on. But what I'm going to do is that I am going to take the casing out and just put it in the pan, in the pot. And we're going to brown this. I'm going to reduce the heat to like a 3, so a medium low. I think I'm going to go ahead and use 4 of these out of the package and leave 1 whole for my husband. Okay, I'm not going to put the whole one in yet. So what I want to do is break this down into like a ground up beef that we just did. So it's not big pieces. And to that, I'm going to add a 1/4 cup of water. So I'm just adding the water. So it will remove all the stuck pieces on the bottom and it'll cook a little faster. And remember, this is getting cooked in the sauce. So all I want to do is to brown it a little bit. And now I can raise the heat up a little bit. Is it about a number 5, so it's medium heat. And break it up some more. And the same thing with this. You want to get rid of the pink. You're going to need another bowl to put this part of the meat or sausage, Italian sausage, with all the juices and everything, because you want to save that. That flavors your sauce. I think it's small enough now. Okay, I've got the bowl here. I'm going to take it to the sink again. Place my bowl there. And I am just going to put all that sausage in the bowl. Juice and everything. If some falls out, well, you still have plenty. Okay, so we'll leave that there for a few minutes while we work on the other things. Okay, we're going to take the same pot. This is really just a 2-pot meal. And now we're going to take a little bit of the olive oil and the rest of that sausage, or you can just leave the sausage whole, the link whole, or you can cut it in smaller pieces if you want to do that. Leave some extra ones like that. I'm going to put it in there. The heat is still at a medium heat. And I just want to brown it on all sides. Now while that is browning, make sure you don't burn it too much. While that is browning, you can put your heat down to like a 3, so a low, medium heat. and put in a little bit more of olive oil. So I'm going to go ahead and 1, 2, 3, because this is for onions that I'm going to put in now. So we're going to cut our onions, dice our onions. I'm just using a medium onion. I cut both ends. I go down the middle, take the skin off. And we're going to long ways. And now we're going to crisscross. Now you don't have to use fresh onion. You can use garlic powder and onion powder, but we prefer to actually use both. So now I'm going to add the onion to the pot. I'll get the other one, other half. You can turn the heat down a little bit now. And I'll turn my sausage again. That's a nice color like that. I'm going to turn the heat down. Get rid of some of these. And if you feel that it's going to get burned before you finish cutting, get a little bit more water. And add it to the pot. And that way it slows down the cooking process. The water will condensate, evaporate, and then you're still left with the oil that you had put in there. Okay, so now we've added a whole onion. And since this one has mushrooms, if you don't like mushrooms, don't put it in. All right, we've got our whole onion cooking in there. And now we're going to also add our mushrooms. Okay, so while the onion is cooking, you can add your mushrooms, and mushrooms will get the flavor. This is about an 8-ounce package of white button mushrooms. And you can turn your heat up again for another, well, I got it on 4 now. Stir the onions and the mushrooms together so they can flavor each other. Alright, that's going to cook for about a minute or so. And then I'm going to go ahead and use my garlic. I'm just going to put it in my garlic press. And I have about 7 cloves of garlic. We like garlic in our spaghetti sauce. You can use a little more if you like, or you can use less if you don't really like the taste of garlic. But once you cook it in the sauce, it's not going to be a garlicky taste. It's going to be kind of sweet. So it won't have that bitter taste of garlic, that potent taste. This is a nice big garlic press, and as you can see, it's seen as better days, but it still works. What I did is I cut the garlic in halves, and then I used the back of the knife, not the one that cuts, to scrape it off of the garlic press. Now I use the front tip and just to take the pieces of garlic that are still left in there. Okay, so now the garlic is really sitting on top of the mushrooms and onions, so nothing is getting burnt. Our sausage has browned a little bit. at this point, we're going to go ahead and add our meat to the pot. So I've got the ground beef, which is drained. Stir that around. And the reason why I left the big one link of sausage in here, didn't take it out, is because, you know, it's intact. So it's going to take a little bit longer to cook. So now it's going to cook with everything out. And now I'm going to put in our sausage along with the juice and everything. Move that around. And it's time to season this. So let me get all my spices here. Now the Italian sausage that I used was the hot Italian sausage. And that's got some red pepper flakes. Doesn't have a lot. But if you like your spaghetti sauce with a little kick, it'd be wonderful. And if not, the other one is just fine because it still has all the spices of normal Italian sausage without the red pepper flakes. All right, so I've got my heat at about a number 5, medium heat. First thing I want to do is add some red wine or white wine, whatever you have handy. It doesn't have to be red for spaghetti. I've had it both ways and they both taste just as amazing. So I'm going to go around the pot. 1, 2. That's it. If you add a little bit more, it's going to be richer, but this is perfect for this amount of spaghetti sauce. Stir that around. Let that alcohol evaporate. It'll be just the taste of the wine without the alcohol. Okay, and make sure you use a wine that you can drink for any kind of cooking. So as long as it's a good brand, even a $2 chuck, you know, from Trader Joe's is perfect for this. Okay. So now what I want to do is I want to add my salt, and since I normally don't measure, I'm going to I'll start with 2 teaspoons of salt. And then I'm going to add some black pepper. It's going to be about a teaspoon of black pepper. You can freshly grind it, or you can use the one that's already ground. About a teaspoon there. About 10, 11. Stir that around. Okay, I'm going to add about a teaspoon of Italian herb seasoning. Okay, maybe a teaspoon and a half. Doesn't have to be exact. And the oregano, and this is oregano leaves. I'm going to use a teaspoon. Actually, let me go ahead and do 2 teaspoons of oregano leaves or ground oregano. If you have fresh, you can use fresh also. Okay, now it's time for our sauce. And we're going to add a 15-ounce can of tomato sauce. Let me see. I think think I'm gonna need another one. Oh, we'll see. And we're going to also add, let's clean out this pan, or this can, I'm sorry, with some water so we can get all the tomato sauce that's left in there. So I'm going to add 3/4 of a can of water to the can so we can get the leftover tomato sauce, and we can recycle it already cleaned. At this point, we're going to add one 15-ounce can also of the diced tomatoes. And any brand is fine, y'all. Okay, and now I'm going to add the tomato paste. So I'm going to put the whole can of tomato paste. And this is just a small can. It's a 6-ounce can of tomato paste. Start with half of it. Stir it, and then the other half. Remember, we have a lot of meat and sausage, so everything has to taste a little bit tomatoey, because otherwise it'll be a little bit runny and not thick enough for our spaghetti sauce. It's got good color. Okay, now for this, I'm going to go ahead and, like I said, we like to use both the fresh and the powdered. So I'm going to add a little bit of garlic powder, and I'm going to just go down to about 3 and shake until you get to 3. Onion, 1, 2, 3. Now to this, just to reduce the acidity of the tomatoes in this sauce, we're going to add a 1/2 teaspoon of sugar. Okay, 1/2 teaspoon of sugar, and that'll reduce the acidity in your tomato sauce. Okay, when we get to this point, I'm going to go ahead and let this simmer. But before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and add some basil leaves. And I just tear them into smaller pieces. And this gives it a fresh taste. And I'm going to go ahead and break off some parsley. Break the stems off, pick the bigger stems off. Take a pair of scissors, or you can use your knife and just go ahead and cut the the parsley into smaller pieces. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut just like that. Turn it over like a crisscross so you get all of it. And then just press down on the knife until you cut through. And we're going to add all this to our sauce. All right, you're going to let your sauce cook on low. You cover it, let your sauce cook on low for about 30 minutes. And make sure you taste it for any more salt, pepper, any more seasoning to your liking. And there you go. This is homemade spaghetti sauce.